So we have an update to the ongoing, seemingly never-ending Alyssa Mercante lawsuit, frivolous lawsuit that was thrown against me for, I guess, harassment. Again, we are going on 10 months, I think, of this or so, 9 months of just dealing with, I don't even know what she's suing me for. And that's kind of a problem when it comes to the court. If I don't know what I'm getting sued for, I would imagine the judge might have some questions as well when they're trying to navigate through what they're sending to them. But with that being the case, we were in a holding pattern. The last update we had was Ron Coleman, my lawyer representing me, had requested a stay of discovery, which means we want to hold off on discovery in this case until the judge decides if this case is going to be heard or not. Which anyone who's anyone would hear that and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Why would you do discovery before the judge even says, yes, they'll hear the case? Which is what I thought as well. But I talked to Ron Coleman today on the phone, and we had about a 20-minute conversation. And he answered a lot of my questions. I'm going to go through this and explain what is happening right now, why Alyssa feels like this is a massive win for her, but why it's actually not really anything in the grand scheme. And that's not cope. That is reality. We'll start with actually what she said on Blue Sky today. And shout out to the anonymous people that sent this to me because I'm not on Blue Sky. She said, quick lawsuit update. The judge told us to discuss at our suggestion whether, even though Jeff asked to stay all discovery, we could agree on a more limited stay and that she would address the issue if not. Today, we reached an agreement, which all of this is 100% accurate. I don't have any issues with that. Sounds like it was written by J. Remy Green. It's so perfect. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Discovery between myself and Jeff is going forward. Any third-party discovery is stayed. It's a good thing that the case is moving along. Here is the letter setting out the agreement. And this is a little bit of cope here by Alyssa saying it's a good thing the case is moving along because she's thinking now that we've come to an agreement that this is something that both sides have agreed on and we're going to move forward with some discovery, but not all discovery, that at least the case is moving forward. And in her mind, she thinks that the judge is going to hear the case and that this is something that is not going to get thrown out and it will be heard. And then she'll have her day in court with me and hopefully she can win there. She still has a tremendous amount of obstacles to overcome. The biggest one is still jurisdiction. Ironically, I don't even think that's the biggest one, but that is, by all accounts and professionals, they say that's the biggest hurdle because jurisdiction is the one that you can't hear a case from the internet unless you can prove jurisdiction. And what she's shown, most professional lawyers have looked at and said, yeah, that's not proving jurisdiction at all. It's kind of laughable. But that doesn't mean the judge is going to feel that way. This is what other lawyers have said. But that being the case, it doesn't even mean it won't get thrown out for jurisdiction. It could get thrown out because the judge is just like, this isn't even a case anyways. So there's multiple layers to if this case gets thrown out or not before we even get to the next step of, okay, this case will be heard. So we are at this point right now, I believe, going to be waiting until the end of October to find out if this case is going to be heard by the Honorable Margot K. Brody, the judge of this case. But in the meantime, we do have an agreement between our side and her side to say, okay, no third-party discovery, meaning she can't request conversations and stuff. As far as I understand, by the way, she can't request conversations between me and people I talk to. What it means for what she can request, I don't really know because they agreed not to request videos from me because Ron even told me, he's like, that's a big thing because if they could request videos from you, that they could just waste your time with just sending video after video to them over and over and over again and just kill time with that. So Ron was able to negotiate that as not being one of the things that they can request because all those things are already public. But the other thing is like social media posts and stuff, public things and Discovery. If they have things they want from me, they can ask for it. And we, I guess, need to provide it to them if it falls within the bounds of what they're requesting. But it's nothing. Ron told me this. He's like, it's nothing that we need to be concerned about. And Ron's vibe was one of confidence still, where he's just like, we are still in a decent position with the situation. And the way it works in New York traditionally is the discovery does start prior to a judge hearing the case, typically. And the stay is rarely approved unless there's like an overwhelming reason for it. So Alyssa seems to think like because the stay was not approved, that is like a massive win for her, because she's like, that means the judge wants to give us more information. Whereas Ron's saying, yes, the judge might want more information just so potentially, if they are to throw this case out, they can cover all their bases, being like, I even gave you the opportunity to have discovery. I gave you the opportunity to write multiple cases to me and addendums and all this information. I gave you all the opportunities in the world, and it's an open and shut case. You've pursued everything before we even got to me hearing the case, and I'm not hearing this case. There's nothing more you need to do. And Ron seems to be of the opinion of that could potentially be a direction the judge could be going with this. So not to worry too much about it. But it is going to be a headache next week with Ron and it's going to be expensive to go through, spend a lot of time and start sending shit over. And I'm like, this is one of the things I really wanted to avoid, because it's going to start costing more money. And we're already about $50,000 deep into this case, and it still hasn't even been heard yet. It's a lot of fucking money that's been spent on this. And thankfully, the community has been so incredibly supportive. I don't know what I would have done without you guys. Like, genuinely, I mean that. I'm at a loss for words for how grateful I am for everyone in the support. Talking to some other people, because I'm like, what could Alyssa even want out of discovery? What is it that they're so desperate for? And some anonymous people that I was talking to behind the scenes were like, you know what she really wants out of this? And I was like, no, I really have no idea. If it's not my conversations with other people, what is it? And they basically brought it back to, the one thing she always wants to know about.
Money, print money, cash, money, wealth, capitalism, raise a bunch of money, more money, heaps and heaps of money, print money, cash, money, wealth, capitalism, raise a bunch of money, super chat money.
As salty as the sea, calling us no-code names. SJW screaming, but it's money they blame. Burning with envy, they're falling flat. They can't handle the sound of a super chat.
And that might not be off. Based off of everything I've dealt with, I would not put it past her to really want my analytics, my money, everything I've made, how much money I make from this. She wants all that detail, because they want to be able to use that to try to prove a case of, look, judge, look at how much money he made ever since he started talking about me. And hopefully the judge does not look at that like, oh, okay. Hopefully the judge looks at it like, yeah, he talks about a lot of things. Why the fuck would it be just about you that money is what he gets? It's kind of like she's main character syndrome. Everything's about her, and she seems to have the vibe, from what I've seen, of someone who thinks that if I never talked about her on my videos, that nobody would watch me at all, or it would be so much less people that she's basically, in her mind, it feels like she thinks she's the reason why anyone cares about me. It's going to be really hard to prove that, but when you have main character syndrome, it's kind of one of those things you deal with. But regardless of that, following up with this whole thing. I'm not going to read through everything here because it's a lot of gobbledygook when it comes to law speak, but the basic bullet point breakdown, I ran it through ChatGPT. And it says joint filing, both sides, my lawyer and the plaintiff's lawyer, filed together. It means less fighting over procedure. Discovery will move forward except for agreed upon exceptions. Plaintiff's motion to pause everything was granted in part and denied in part. Future flexibility. Either side can ask the court to change these stays. Third-party discovery paused. Getting documents or testimony from outside companies or people is on hold until your motion is dismissed or decided. Deposition. If the case moves that far before the motion to dismiss ruling, parties will meet and decide how to handle depositions. Requests for admission. These are paused for 30 days. After that, both sides will talk about sending any. Like, I'm telling you guys, it's such a fucking mind-numbing headache, a massive waste of time that I'm going to be spending hours upon hours of my life every single day for the next foreseeable future in dealing with this court case. And for what? For what? I know that's what she's looking for, is to waste my time with this. But she wants to ruin my life. We've already seen with her actions she's taken. She's nonstop harassed me. She's doxed me. She's threatened my family. She's contacted my wife. She's contacted San Diego Comic-Con trying to get me banned from there, made up things about me, cut me out of context. She has slandered me and everything here and there. I have everything in the world to go at her with if I wanted to. But first things first with this case, I guess you could say. Again, I don't think she realizes what she's fucking doing right now. She's up a creek without a paddle and is just hoping that the courts just see it her way and that everything just fucking works out for her. And it's like, what if it doesn't? Then it's going to all come crumbling down. Plaintiff's requests officially count as served on September 29th. I have to serve my first requests on that same date. Public documents, any documents that are already public online don't need to be produced. Production of those is paused until the judge rules on the motion to dismiss. Confidentiality order. Both sides want a protective order to keep confidential info sealed. Key change. If someone wants to file something under a seal, the party who labeled it confidential, not the one filing it, must prove to the judge why it should stay sealed. Canceled conference. Since both sides reached the agreement, the status conference scheduled for later this month will probably be canceled. So there was initially a date that I was supposed to show up in court in New York later in September, but because I'm being represented by a lawyer in New York, they could have represented me without me being there, unless I was specifically ordered by the judge, which I was not. But again, it was one of those very stressful when this all came through. I'm like, shit, do I need to buy a flight to New York? Do I need to lose time and lose streaming and lose revenue and leave my family for this bullshit? Like, what are we doing with all this? Bottom line for you guys, the case is moving forward currently, but discovery has limits until the judge rules on my motion to dismiss. It is procedural, not a loss. I'll start exchanging information on September 29th. Third-party evidence and some admissions are on hold, which limits the plaintiff's reach until the court decides whether the case survives, which is the biggest part of all of this. And again, I keep going back to, I am hopeful that the judge is just being more than gracious with Alyssa's team so that Margot K. Brody, the judge, she can toss this and they won't have anything to come back at her with. And they won't have anything to even fight it with, because she can say, hey, I allowed this. This came in. You did all this. Everything was produced. I gave you that extra time. I gave you this. I gave you that. And I made my decision of, yeah, with all that, it's still a joke. So no. So you got nothing to come back with. That's our hope. The other side of the coin is the judge is like, well, yeah, but we'll keep hearing these things. Maybe there'll be something that will make me change my mind, and I do want to hear this case. So keep it coming. So we'll see. Again, nothing is official as of right now. It's not a win for Alyssa. It's not a loss for me. It's a compromise to just get to the point of finding out if the judge is going to hear this or not. And we don't want to cause an issue that makes us look bad before the judge decides something. So we want to move the case along too. We don't want to be kicking and screaming right now while the judge is making a decision, because that might raise eyebrows with the judge and be like, you know what? No, I do want to hear this case because you guys are being really pain in the ass with this. So if we're just very forthcoming with, okay, we'll give you everything you need to know. Could you please make a decision? And in my humble opinion, hurry up on that because it's getting fucking expensive. That would be great. I would appreciate that. And when I say it's getting expensive, I don't want this to keep going. I don't want to keep begging for money for a court case from the general public. I don't want you guys to put more of your money into this. I don't. To me, it's the equivalent of lighting a dollar on fire and pissing on it. This is such a fucking waste of money, a massive waste of money. And I go back to when this all first started, and I started the originally the GoFundMe and then moved it over to the Give, Send, Go when her side tried to get me frozen on that, which is another thing that they threw at me. I initially was like, if Alyssa drops this, I will be donating a significant portion of this money to cancer research. And she's like, fuck you, I'm still going with it because you harassed me. I'm like, great. So I'm looking at this from a perspective of we're now taking upwards of $60,000, $70,000 away from potential cancer patients because I wanted to make a massive impact. I thought that would have been an amazing story to spin this in a positive light for everyone. But no, main character syndrome, you're harassing me and I need to keep coming at you because I need more information at you. When she doesn't realize at the end of the day, she's the one that's constantly harassing me. It's all projection. It always has been. And I'll leave that one there.